Hey, dude, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and just listen, it's good. Wow, my head's weird. Okay, listen, we got a lot to go over today. Yesterday, the markets absolutely mooned. If this is your first time tuning in, what's up? My name is Schiller, and this is X Feed. So, timeline Fuel secures 81.5 million investment from Alameda Research. If you don't know, well, Alameda Research is a part of FTX, which apparently regulators are looking at allowing back into the market. And Zach XBT pointing out, why would you mention an Alameda Research investment as a good thing in 2023 after all of the fraud? Now, I want to highlight it is now 2024, and this tweet was posted 3 hours ago, so it is in fact still 2024. We'll let that one slide, but threaders are out of control. Holy sugar shit. Going to be crazy to see if FTX comes back, and it's weird as hell to see somebody shilling this stuff. Gordon out on the timeline again. He's buying things. Listen, not to highlight the insider trading potentially going on here, but the other day, I think even on the X feed, I don't know if I left it in the video or not, I have the world's worst memory. There was like several 50 ETH plus buys of MFers the other day. And then today, Gordon comes on the timeline and he starts just buying a ton of different NFTs. And I'm like, brew, I thought this guy was over and done with buying these. Apparently not. The MFers, the Froganas, we highlighted them the other day. The narratives that are taking place, and then I believe he got a Quirkies as well. If we go and check out his timeline super quick here, X just doesn't work for me flat out. It told me that I got rate limited and things just weren't working. I pay for X. I don't know if my internet is chalked. I genuinely do not know. Welcome to 2024. Security focused crypto wallet founder gets fished for $125K. Yesterday, the LFG token came out, which is less effing gas, and immediately, every bot, every person trying to scam, they're creating accounts, they're commenting on things. It's basically that their ats are the same thing minus one or two letters, slight variations, maybe an L instead of a 1 instead of an L. You get the idea. So this is just a daily reminder that security is of an utmost focus. If you are going to check out links, do things, I always just go to their official X page and then click on the link that they have in there. You don't read the comments, you don't do anything. This happened with grapes when they came out. It was a lot of people that fell victim to that. I think there was a person that lost like an insane amount of NFTs and their valuable possessions through that, but 125K attack on this one, which is just absolutely insane. The small community, if you guys remember Treasure DAO, this is something that I heard about before. It was really, really big, and I feel like I haven't seen it over the timeline a whole lot. So quickly here, 2023 was an incredible foundation building year for Small, setting the stage for an explosive 2024. Sharing a recap of our milestones, Smallville game by Dark Bright Games. Game studio team grew to a team member of 8 with members hailing from Guild Wars 2 and Big Fish Games. You remember Freddy the Fish or Pajama Sam? It's like that's by Humongous Games, but Big Fish reminds me of Freddy the Fish. Massive strides in game design, 103-page game design document, hundreds of pages detailing characters, scripts, yada 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 yada. For Small, first interop Treasure DAO boss event with Beacon, Small Brains migrating on chain for true and permanent ownership, and the list goes on. But I think that it's interesting that like at points we talk about different collections having the alpha, right? A lot of people are saying, hey, what are the groups that knew about ordinals, right, for Bitcoin? And now we have SEI saying that. Small had a community regarding that. CyberKongs had another community for alpha. And it's interesting that we're just having so many things happening within the space all at the same time. And it's really interesting to see who gets more people kind of joining their community versus kind of communities just staying stalemate in a way. All right, this one's from I Am Zeroica. 2024 news, 80% of market participants are way too inexperienced. Okay, dude, let's see if they're right or wrong. Point number 1, never experienced a full cycle from A to Z. Okay, potentially. I think their coin will rip to infinity and beyond because of supreme technology. Okay, in my In my case, I feel like I'm focusing more on like the likelihood of people joining in for reasons, not necessarily supreme technology, but definitely have seen that. Never relied on candle closures. Okay, sure. Never really looked into that. Don't apply proper risk management. Eh, hell yeah, bro. Have zero control of their emotions. I think I'm pretty okay. Are too fascinated by constantly chasing new position. This I have zero problem with. I don't listen. If something rips, it's like okay, cool. Maybe back in the day I had an issue with doing that, but not anymore. I can easily tell you that the majority of people do not work daily to improve investment skills, nor the future newcomers who will just continue to eat greed at morning breakfast. Trust me, you're overestimating the competition. Put in 1% effort every day, and you will outperform the mass. All right, well, we're here. Does us having conversations about the news put us in the 1%? I'll say sure, and you should too. And guys, if you're watching on YouTube, I would love if you could throw a thumbs up on that. Very much appreciated. But if you're on Twitch or X, what's going on? Hope you guys stay for a little bit here. Again, X timed out for me. I don't know if anybody else has issues for this, but we're going to keep on rolling. Solana's success has opened people's minds to the possibility that other coins can challenge ETH. I feel like this is a thing that has happened for a while. It's not necessarily because of Solana. I think that maybe for a few people that opens the door for that, but it's true here that people are now looking for the next soul. We have people yapping about SEI. I've been yapping about Root. There is a lot of things, and again, the future is interoperable, but Boot here is saying that Celestia is what they think is going to be the thing. So 230,000 followers here, the first modular blockchain network that securely scales with the number of users. Build what ever. So if we click on here super quickly, Celestial is a modular data availability network that securely scales with the number of users, making it easy for anyone to launch their own blockchain. Bruh, imagine if every person on Earth just launches their own blockchain. How absolutely ridiculous would that be? Okay, so explore the ecosystem, roll up some modular infrastructure. If we click on this, Arbitrum Orbit. Is there any names that you guys like recognize on here? I don't. Listen, I know that I'm kind of a one-note pony here, but a lot of these things I don't really. I feel like I've heard of Manta Network before, potentially, maybe not. But look at all these things. How are you supposed to understand all of it? We have Polygon in here, Optimism, Squid, Squiddy. Right? Like, I mean, I don't know what the hell half of this stuff means for like the average Joe, but it's cool that it exists. And we'll see, obviously, if this ends up picking up steam. Pranksy, holy sugar. You've probably seen all over your timeline people highlighting how much gas that they've spent on Ethereum, particularly NFTs, but of course, DeFi is in there. I wasted 1.70. Well, okay, so that's 1,700,000 in gas on ETH and just claimed 13.46 million LFG. What? That seems ridiculous because like 13.46 is like, I think double what I got, and I didn't spend anywhere close to 1 million in gas, and this guy spent 2 million. So I guess LFG had like a cap on like the Omega whales based on how much they did, but this is pretty crazy, right? Like, we make the arguments, and I'm kind of a part of it where I'm like, listen, like I think ETH is cool, but like it is completely unusable. You want to buy like a $10 NFT? No, it's out. You gotta go on a layer 2, or you are just going to get wrecked. It's not talked about really that much anymore, but there's still a lot of alpha groups out there that are trying to get whitelists for different mints. I've always thought this was interesting because there's a lot of collections that end up trying to build something that nothing comes of it. Other ones, again, massive successes, but everybody's trying to get their foot in the door. Collections are looking for marketing help. Sometimes you can give them kind of like a whitelist opportunity, but Xer here saying, spoke to a project today on behalf of 300 members of their group, and they offered us 3 spots for 300 apes of this group, and make sure all the apes like, follow, retweet all of our posts, and set a cat as your profile. Kindly F off and send it to 0 with haste. We will pass on the 3 spots. Thank you very much. Kind of hilarious. I just think in general here, that the conversations that happen behind closed door. I don't know if this is like simply a copy pasta. It totally could be, but I also definitely see an avenue where somebody would have said that in response to this. So there's been a lot of talk about SEI, and I've been trying to pay attention to different tweets that come out to bring some stuff. And again, I mentioned yesterday I want to do a video. Well, I yap a lot, but we got to get to it. So SEI ecosystem overview. Why is it pumping, and what to do with SEI? Consider these actions on SEI. Stake SEI and SEI's staking hub. Consider NFTs on Pallet Exchange like the Colony, which is that like ant thing popular among the SEI community and team members, and then stake SEI for stake SEI, crypto knife or LP farm, yada yada yada. Trade on Lavana protocol, explore Astro. There's a whole bunch of different things on here. There's other apps to come, but why is it pumping? I believe there are 3 elements. Technical innovation. SEI alongside Phantom is an alternative to Solana in the modular blockchain space with upcoming features like optimistic parallelization, SEI DB, and EVM support. I have a little bit of a breakdown there. Token printing potential. The SEI ecosystem is new but growing. With the new dApps to launch tokens, increasing SEI price might boost dApp token valuations. And captivating narratives. We love narratives here in Web3. Emphasizing the story of parallelization, Next, Solana, etc. are starting to emerge, but I care about monolithic blockchain story. Disclaimer, this is a brief overview, not financial advice, of course. So again, a lot of blockchains launching, a lot of things happening. I think the narratives are going to be king. I've seen people talk about how like content creators as a whole is going to be like a very big aspect, because you need people that have this attention economy and everything else. And I'm curious to see how that rolls up with it. But again, I do think that the future is multi-chain. Listen, this is just a crazy video, but apparently the wind was so ridiculous that this waterfall turned into a reverse waterfall. I've never seen it. I guess that stuff doesn't happen in Canada. But this is in India. So holy sugar. The big 2024 prediction poll. Which projects, blockchains, trends, and marketplaces will dominate this year? All right, let's see what they got in here. And these polls have already finalized, so we haven't gotten a vote, but we're going to pretend like we can vote and talk about the results. So which of the following collection will have the highest floor price at the end of 2024? Azuki, Captains, Other Side Coda, or Pudgy Penguins? Pudgy Penguins leading with an absolute landslide here. And I don't know, when you're looking at the value prop of these collections, Azuki, you're like, okay, they're now trying to pursue a gaming angle that they've just started, so it's very unlikely that Azuki has anything game-related coming out this year, but, you know, they could have the merch, they have the shows, the animations. I think Azuki really could go to insane heights if they get that out there into kind of a bigger world. Captains, I feel like I'm just not educated on this. It feels like the whole idea with that is that there's tokens involved with it. And if meme does good amongst the 605 other meme coins, funny enough, I'm not really sure like why that would be the winner out of these ones. But again, if tokens go crazy, then obviously that'll make the NFTs go crazy as well. Other side codas are very interesting because I feel that there's a lot of people that have given up hope on what other side is just because it's taking longer than the initial expectation. And I think that varies from person to person. Obviously, you might be well aware like, oh, yeah, like, you know, I knew the second they announced they wanted to build out this metaverse, it was going to take forever. A lot of other people didn't have that viewpoint and thought that the trips would be faster, that components of it would kind of come out a little bit more. But if they do create something that's successful, if they do have this big MMO and codas are a huge part of it, could they win out in this collection? Absolutely, but we'll see, because I think codas right now are just for using in the Legends of Mara game where you can get these chests, and I don't think the chests or anything are tradable currently. And then we have Pudgy Penguins again. We have the Walmart stick. We have the gaming kind of world that they're starting to build out. We have just the general kind of younger audience IP that's going to be great for parents for the kids and kids just liking in general. Obviously, that's probably a likely case. Do you think the money is going to be within kids or within a specific subset of an MMO, or do you think it's going to be in anime type IP? And so I don't know. I would put Captains as like probably last on this list, but they really put codas down at the bottom. Which of the following collections will have the highest floor price at the end of 2024? I guess so. This is just another question. This is the same as the one before. D-Gods, Doodles, Mochaverse, and Pixelmon. Pixelmon, I think they have a lot going for them. Obviously, they have like a huge treasury they're working with. Mochaverse is backed by Animoca. They can get any kind of connection that they want to with that. Doodles, they have Pharrell Williams. They're working on an IP, but again, it's going to be kind of specific. Where before, when you're kind of comparing all of them, you're like, okay, like I see how the demographic shakes out. And then D-Gods, I mean, this one came second here. I really, really don't know what to think about like D-Gods. A lot of people like harp on them, and I think like it's mainly focused on an art project. That's like, okay, that's cool. But I feel like it's probably unlikely that comparatively to these ones, that's going to be the highest floor out of all of them. Yo, CFast, what's up, bro? Your Bored Ape Mint live stream is my favorite YouTube video. How cool to capture history in a video. Yo, I appreciate you stopping by the live stream here and checking that out. It's wild because at the time we had no idea about anything, and we'll see if we can find some other things that end up turning into history here as well. But appreciate you swinging by, boss. Okay, so which part of Yuga's ecosystem will be the most successful in 2024? Bored Ape Yacht Club, CryptoPunks, or other side? I agree with this poll. I think that the polarizing aspect of CryptoPunks, there's a lot of people that are in the Web3 space, and I think that CryptoPunks have solidified, they've been like grandfathered in of just appreciated by everybody. I think there's a huge mass of people that still dislike Bored Ape Yacht Club for whatever reason, and then other side, there's not enough to it. And I mean, if other side is successful, it can also push what CryptoPunks is. But I mean, maybe we see a year where Metaverse Land, which is not really talked about at all because all that stuff's like hella dead, takes off, and then suddenly what's going to be the top Metaverse Land? Well, potentially what other side is offering. Which collection will be the breakout star of 2024? I'm going to go with a little bit of Fluff World. So I would go with other on this one. Again, 38.6%. Everybody's probably super biased. I mean, I'd be curious to know how many people like own any of the NFTs that like voted for either of these ones. I feel like everybody just voted other, and that's why it's such a big landslide. But the Plague, again, recently gave equity to holders, which was wild. Grapes came out, and they did fantastic in comparison to what their pre-sale allocation was. I still think it's very weird because they did everything on ETH, and then they gave you the token on Binance Smart Chain, which came completely out of left field. There's a lot of rumors about them being involved in Binance, yada, yada, but there's been no official Binance connection on that front. So I think it's a little bit weird that they kind of like didn't say that, hey, that's how it was happening. But still, enough capital in that ecosystem to make it noticeable. And Sugartown's interesting because that's Zanga. I feel that we are... like, I mean, they're here, but what's going on, right? Like, okay, so they're here and they have different games and they're giving out free NFTs and whatnot. But I think we can kind of go down the line and say that similarly to a lot of other collections. Now, I've heard that the game, the most recent one that they launched, was a lot of fun and people really did enjoy it. But I feel like, I mean, arguably all of these ones beside the Plague, we don't really know enough about to give a huge breakdown of. Grapes, they have like their mobile games. Sugartown, again, they have mobile games and other games, but they're mainly been on the Web 2 side, which is kind of the same as Grapes, and then Plague is doing the coffee brand, I believe, and just NFT art in general. So again, we'll see. I mean, just kind of talking about that out loud, I still think other is probably the correct one here. And yo, Pilgrim, what's going on, brother? Which collection will dominate the Web3 gaming market in 2024? Overworld, Seed World, Treeverse, or other? So Overworld like just launched their mint. Seed World, I've never heard of before, and Treeverse has been building for a while, and I saw that Loopify talked about how you could get into their early access type thing, or like their dev build was the correct terminology, or other. So again, I don't really have anything to say regarding this. I think Treeverse looks really interesting. They have been building for a while. The thought process, I guess, to what I've believed and said in other sessions of this is that like there's a lot of collections that have been working for like a long time that I think are finally going to get their due, and Treeverse definitely is one that could be in here. Which marketplace will have the biggest market share in 2024? Blur. Holy shiza, brother. 43% here looks rare. Absolutely nobody uses that. I don't know why 1.6% does. Maybe they still have their looks token and they're staking it. No idea. Magic Eden, again, I've not really delved in that marketplace a whole lot. Originally started as a Solana marketplace, and I believe now they cover multiple ones similar to OpenSea. OpenSea was ETH related, and then now covers Polygon, Solana, et cetera. And then OpenSea here. But yeah, I don't know. I guess Blur is the way. I would agree with the poll on this one. Which blockchain will dominate the digital collectibles marketplace? Ethereum, Solana, or other? Bitcoin. I think that the digital collectibles marketplace is interesting because Ethereum, we do have a lot of the L2s. If you just say Ethereum straight up, I mean, I don't know. I feel like we're gonna have a point here where there is going to be hype on collections that are just there because they are on a certain chain, whether that's for good reasons or bad. And there's a tweet somebody had a second ago, and I'm kind of spoiling it, but they were like, if this collection was on Solana, I'd buy it. How does that make any sense? Okay, so that means that you are only buying that for the provenance of like it being on like a certain chain. There's no other aspect of it that you're buying this thing for apart from the fact that it is on that chain. And that's where we kind of come up with there's a lot of garbage or things that really aren't doing anything, but because they're first movers in a way, people jump on board for that. And so I don't know what to think with this, but it'll be interesting. And yeah, it was CFast. Thank you so much for the subscription. But yeah, so Bitcoin, Solana, other. I mean, it's interesting that Ethereum has such a huge lead on this. I don't really think that it's going to be on Bitcoin. I know there's a huge narrative around that. Solana definitely could be a thing, but we will definitely see chains where, the digital collectibles really do reside in a dominant fashion, similar to what this poll looks like. But is it ETH? We shall see it. Now, tell me your wildest predictions for 2024 in the replies. Be careful, though. I'll be, quote, retweeting them in 2025. I mean, listen, I'd probably be saying something about how, like, I think Root is going to be actually the next Solana, or a lot of people are talking about this, at least in terms of, like, getting the attention, cracking the top 100. I think that also ApeCoin could surprise a lot of people if they really do build out this ape chain or have, like, more use cases for it. They've been, I don't know, I feel like they've really not been, like, that great for, like, what ApeCoin can offer here. So, this is random as hell, but I thought it was funny. X or Twitter now supports accounts with multiple organization tags. Listen, apparently we're in a recession. So these guys are like, listen, we need you to pay an extra $50 a month to get a funky symbol on these, and damn well you can get multiple of them for the same account. The cash grabbers. That's what X is all about, apparently. 2024 predictions. Projects enforcing hard staking, no listing, and the likes of that will not gonna make it. I misread that slightly, but I agree. We've seen some collections where they've said, hey, for grapes, like, you're not allowed to have it listed, or you lose all your bunches and it's burned, which is kind of like whatever. But these different collections are trying to make it where the floor doesn't move. I mean, we can look at Root and say, okay, like, for your future score, if you end up selling that, you lose that future score. But if you have it listed, it's not as punishing, right? And I think that's good, but there is definitely going to be collections out here that have some wild metrics to kind of create this narrative that their price is going to go up. So, of course, be careful with it. So this was an artist that I actually met at VCon, and I thought it was kind of cool. So I want to try to mention some artists here and there where possible. And this guy's name's Gabe, and he does the Stoics. And basically, it's kind of just like art where they design like faces, but it's in a abstract way. I did an art project about loners in high school, and the teacher kept it because he thought it was creative. So, yeah, I just thought these were kind of cool. And if you're wanting to check it out, it's called The Stoics. Okay, we talked about a recession a second ago. Knock, knock. Who's there? Not a recession. China saw 5.179 million inbound and outbound passenger trips during the 3-day New Year holiday, with an average of 1.726 million trips made daily, posting a nearly 5-fold increase from the same period in the previous year. National Immigration Administration Tuesday. Okay, sure, we can say COVID. Sure, we can talk about all these other things. But man, apparently everybody has like 5.179 million. have money to go to China and party for New Year's over that 3 days. That's, I mean, listen, that doesn't scream recession to me. I don't know. Haven't heard from Subducks in a while, but apparently these guys have a collection of crypto Subducks that were airdropped on Base for Coinbase. And shout out to Manifold. If you don't know, this was a collection that came out a while ago, and they're just Subducks. And yeah, that's kind of cool. And I thought that it was interesting that we're having some of these collections being a part of it. If you happen to know what Finnies are, I have a friend called Ajum, named Ajum, and he does a interesting viewpoint where he's gotten into Finnies pretty huge, and they were massive because for Coinbase, they with the Rainbow wallet, let me backtrack for a second. The Rainbow Finnies were a part of that where there was some benefits to it, but they're also partnered with Coinbase, and we're seeing some of these different collections come out and highlight that they're a part of some of these major infrastructures. And so do we see these kind of smaller NFTs from, you know, you don't think much of, but then they have these monster giants of Coinbase, Base, et cetera, and then suddenly they're the bee's knees. It's interesting to see. Flip alerts. This is another account if you're wanting to see random kind of flips that are interesting. I thought this one was strange only because I remember this fly fish club being talked about, and I was like, isn't this the thing that Gary V had where you could like get a restaurant or reservation in New York? Fly Fish Club is the world's first members-only private dining club where membership is purchased on the blockchain as a non-fungible token. So if you happen to like fancy restaurants, you like NFTs, you want to get involved with this, I haven't heard about this in forever until that NFT flip, but there it is, the Fly Fish Club. Uniswap is the #1 decentralized app on Ethereum, still relatively unpumped. DEXs will pump hard this cycle since regulators are going after sexes pretty hard, along with low leverage. And centralized exchanges is sexes for anybody that doesn't happen to know. It's not me saying sex. You get the idea. Anyway, so it is interesting that like the #1 app on Ethereum is kind of just like, like what? It is weird, and I don't have like a bag in this or anything, but the point that I want to highlight is that, okay, like if we have these sexes that are actually getting targeted, do we see kind of a run-up on these dexes? Maybe. I mean, that's actually like a really, really good point. We're heading into an election year. Everyone's wanting to clamp down on these regulators. Obviously, every country is going to be doing their own thing. But do we see the DEX volumes go up? And I don't know, and I'm curious for you guys, like how many of you use a centralized exchange for anything other than onboarding or offboarding? Because for myself, like I only really use the centralized exchanges. Like I don't, go into this and try to buy tokens that way. But again, we're pretty limited, like where I am, that you can there's only like, I think like 13 different tokens that I'm eligible to buy on like certain exchanges that are allowed where I live. So yeah, I think DEXs do take off. And snazzy, that was awkward. Fish. Yo, Ayuball, what's going on? You prefer FTX? Hell yeah, I did. Yeah, listen, I don't know if you were here at the beginning, Ayuball, but you might want to go back and check the beginning when we're done because we talked about the one and only FTX and specifically Alameda Research. Okay, so yesterday the entire crypto market mooned, right? It mooned. Things were fantastic. We're joyous. We're ordering a shakaroni from Papa John's on DoorDash. Hell yeah, bro. Blast has achieved a $1 billion total value lock in just 35 days, making it the fastest blockchain to reach this milestone. And this is nuts. And so this bottom one here, the 597 days, is Ethereum. And obviously this, happened a while ago. So if you look at what's happening in like 2023 compared to several years ago, obviously we're going to see things happen much quicker, but still $1 billion total value locked. You can't pull it out. Things are pumping, but think of all this locked liquidity that when it does come out, what it's going to do to the market. But just overall on this chart, Solana took 40 days for the same, BNB 108, go down to Optimism 390 days. But it's just, I thought this was a fantastic graphic to put things into perspective. A little bit of sports happenings for you that I thought was interesting. The other day, the Toronto Raptors and New York Knicks made a little bit of a trade, and RJ Barrett and Emmanuel Quickley's first game with Toronto is a win over Cleveland. in Toronto. Kawhi Leonard and Danny Green's first game with Toronto from a few years ago when a trade happened, a win over Cleveland in Toronto. Oh, interesting. We have the same. OG Anunoby's first game with New York, a single-digit win over Minnesota in New York. DeMar DeRozan's first game with San Antonio after the trade, a single-digit win over Minnesota in San Antonio. History tends to repeat itself. Maybe we'll see that with crypto, and we go moon, baby. If you are a fan of Ghost, this is probably one of like my favorite artists that are just kind of been rocking away here in the crypto space. I guess they launched a Ghost every month that you can get, and they're just launched on Manifold. They're 0.01. Wanted again to highlight some artists here, and I thought this was kind of cool that you could get a cheap Ghost. I think there's only like 70 of them minted right now, and it ends in a like 3 hours or something. So if you're wanting to check that out, just check out the Ghost page, and they're on Manifold. And some of the other ones we've like if you check on OpenSea, they're selling for like 0.04, 0.05. So could be something, but I think that's kind of cool. Yo, this guy got a tattoo of Mike Tyson, and blood did not give a single F. Look at him. Hey, like, yo, bro, look at my arm here. I got your face. And dude's like, okay, dude, who cares? That's crazy, dude. Oh my God, why would you ever do that? That's wild. Kagi highlighting and play Illumia. And this is just, I don't know. Like, I think this looks pretty good. This is a Web3 game. Like, we're getting up here. We're not just having these card games anymore. We're having full blown MMOs that look pretty all right. And I do have an ape tattoo. Listen, when Snazzy ape tattoo, huh? Join the party. But I mean, listen, I thought the Mike Tyson tattoo looked all right, but still, yeah, I mean, this looks pretty cool. Play Illumia. This got 45,000 followers, and I guess they joined back in 2021. And of course, there it is, led by Animoca Brands. Crazy. I can't find the next post where I updated, but still no gaming cabals, influencers, thread writers, or experts covering this. GG's to Mavia game. So, okay, we got a little bit of alpha here. What do we got? Developed by Skyra Studio. Okay, listen, immediately we're out because it's not Animoca or Binance. I'm just kidding. 350,000 on the beta waitlist. Build your army, conquer opponents, win Rubia. Rubius Hagrid. Command your army to victory, build your base, grow your army, and earn Ruby. This is like, I don't know, at like initial first glance on this is like Illuvium, but like done in a different art style with like different characters. I feel like the UI or the structure here looks kind of similar for whatever reason. Okay, so it's all on mobile. That's literally like a copy of Clash of Clans. Like, holy shit. Your base is your home and must be defended at all costs. Strategically build walls, deploy turrets, and place traps in okay, I was reading that. In order to keep enemies away from your precious gold, oil, and ruby loot. Lead an army of infantry, vehicles, and air units. There's DAO governance. There's the marketplace. There's a creator program as well, which looks kind of interesting. But I'm also a little bit weirded out because they're showing like this type of game, but I'm thinking of what Kagi just said, but this is a different game. So yeah, I guess it's like a copy of what Clash of Clans is, but I fudded it a second ago for not being a part of Binance. Well, there it is right there. Binance Labs, backed by world-class partners, Crypto.com, Delphi Digital, Animoca Brands in there too. Listen, it hits all the things. And Kick. This is interesting. I haven't seen Twitch or any other streaming platform being backed by anything, but if Kick is actually backing this game, that is very, very interesting and maybe something to be noted. So I'm going to give that a quick little follow. But at Mavia Game, if you want to check it out on Twitter. This was the post that I mentioned earlier where Daniel says, if Gops went to Solana, it would bang, in my opinion. I still think it's interesting. Like, okay, that's cool. But, I mean, are we just buying stuff because it's on a certain chain or because there's, like, more to it that you like, or is it just an art project? And I think for Gop dudes, it is just an art project. Do you remember when the Mega Mutant Apes came out and they were all the rage and they were the hype? Honestly, that was a very fun time in NFTs. There was something to look forward to. I feel like even if you weren't really that hardcore into anything ape related. It was just interesting to see, okay, what are these reveals going to be? There was people that were streaming things. There was excitement. There was a ton of hype in the space, and we haven't had that kind of impact since. But it was small. I think there's like only 8 of these, but it was a very, very fond memory at the time. We talked about SEI a little bit earlier. The quality of projects that are coming out, I mean, I don't really know. This popped up on my timeline because I bookmarked so many things. My For You page is the weirdest, but I guess there's a new mint that's coming out called SEI Spirits. It's already got 5,000 followers. It's going to be a free mint. How many of these things that have come out? Are they drainers? Are they good? Are they 1,000Xers? These are all the questions that you have to ask yourself, but we'll see what the hell happens to SEI Spirits. Saiyans is another one in here that everybody's been hyping up. Apparently the ant bug one was like the first, and then these ones, I don't know if there's any kind of problems with this looking somewhat like Dragon Ball Z. Probably not, but still over 9,000 Saiyans, free mint only on SEI. Obviously, these are way up right now, and so people are taking a shot at whatever, but we'll see if these end up being kind of like one of the top collections, similar to how we've seen a whole bunch of different Ethereum NFTs rise to the top in that occasion. Someone check up on Minnie Mouse. Imagine you're going to Florida, and you're like, oh, it's Minnie. Yo, they're puffing a vape. What? Yeah, bruh. I mean, that's amazing. Okay, so final thing regarding SEI within this here. Shout out to Tagline, who was trying to figure out how to get involved with that. And Change Now, if you're wanting to save this one, it's at changenow_IO. Limitless Web3 crypto exchange, simple, fast, custody free, and they have a token. You can go here, and then we already have like SEI, and you can transfer it to whatever, but apparently 9,000 SEI is 2.72 Ethereum. Holy sugar shit. And so if you're looking for an exchange to be able to do like cross-chain stuff, that might be useful for you. Local rate limited. Is tough. Well, I guess that's going to wrap it up for today because X is not agreeing with me. I don't know if I have to pay for it or whatnot. But I appreciate you guys tuning in. Be sure to like that button if you are on YouTube, if you are on X, if you want to give a like to the tweet. I really appreciate that. And if you want to share with any friends these recaps, we're going to be continuing with them daily. But thank you so much for tuning in and enjoy the rest of your Tuesday.